Hey everyone, so this video is a little later than others. I apologise I haven't posted, for a couple of weeks, and that's just simply been because I've been busy. I went on a little weekend away, back down to the Midlands to see my parents. We went to Alton Towers and had a delightful time. I still went to my therapy either side of the holiday, so I think there's been two weeks I've missed out on videos, and I've had my third session today. So in my last video I was talking about the 3 kind of pillars of the effective personal skills, and as a recap, that was objective effectiveness, and that's about getting what you want. It is also relationship effectiveness, which is maintaining relationships with other people. And the third one was self-respect skill, self-respect effectiveness, and that's about, kind of sticking to your morals and values, and basically keeping self-respect for yourself. I did go into quite a lot of detail about them in the last video. It did ramble on a bit, but there was quite a lot to cover. So what I'm going to do in this session is go over the skills that are for the objectives effectiveness, about getting what you want. And it is best remembered using an acronym called DEARMAN. And it's not a script in itself, but it can be used to maybe write out a script if you're going to go into a conversation, and you might get lost in conversation. You get very sidetracked in conversations easily, but it's basically breaking down how to have an effective conversation with when you have a goal or something you in particular want to achieve. So, as I said, it's called DEARMAN, and that stands for describe, express, assert, reinforce, mindful, appear confident, and negotiate. So the first one, describe, it's about describing the current situation, sticking to the facts, and telling the person exactly what it is you want. And the important thing here is stick to the facts and stick to the current situation. So you're not bringing in what happened last week, you're not bringing in what happened 12 months ago, you're not describing what happened 10 years ago. It's about kind of sticking to the here and now. The second one, the E, the express, it's expressing your feelings and opinions about the situation and doing it very clearly. Don't assume that the other person knows how you feel. So, if you're upset at someone, instead of huffing and puffing at them, just say, I'm upset at this. And I think this is important because sometimes we don't like being direct with other people because we don't want them to see us as being bad. But if you use this and get to the point quicker, then it shouldn't drag out so much. Being assertive. Assert yourself by either asking exactly what you want, or if it's something that you don't want, making sure you say no very clearly. Don't assume that others are going to figure it out. So, for example, and I've been guilty of this before, I'll go, we never do anything fun. Why don't we ever do anything? And you sort of say that because you then want the other person to propose kind of doing something. Whereas, you know, if you say, oh, this weekend, can we go bowling? Or, I'd like to get takeout tonight. Instead of going, oh, I never know what to eat. We never go anywhere. We never do. You know, just say what it is you want. Which it sounds very obvious when you do this, when I'm reading it out like this. But when you think how many times you go, like it, or if you're not working, you go, oh, we're always working late, or you're always this and always that, but you're not actually saying what you want. Reinforce, and that's to, yeah, so to reinforce, you kind of explain the positive effects of getting what you want. And, or, you know, if you're reinforcing, you know, sometimes you might have to reinforce the other person, you know, sort of saying, oh, I do understand, you know, you are really busy, I understand, you know, we haven't gone out much lately because, you know, we've been skint. So, you kind of, I would say, not seeing it from the other person's point of view, but I think this is kind of like making it so you're not it doesn't come across like you're blaming the other person for something not happening. So yeah, and like just the positive effect. So like on my example, if I say, oh, on Saturday I want to go to the cinema, and then the reinforce would be, you know, I really think it'd be good for us to spend some time together, where we're not thinking about work, where we're not thinking about X, Y, Z. And that reinforce makes it clear that you're doing it for a good reason. The M is for mindful, and this is keeping the focus on the goal. So what did you set out to achieve when you started this conversation, and making sure you stay on this. You like maintain your position, you know, don't get off the topic. And sometimes, and I feel this is hard because especially if it is a conversation about something you are upset with. No, this is easy if it's like a positive thing, you know, like if I say, oh, let's go to the cinema, you know, that's a positive thing, that's to do something fun. But say if it's something like negative, where, you know, you might say to your partner or someone like, oh, you know, if you're going to be late, I've told you I want you to message me. And like sometimes when it's like negative, it can kind of go off on a spiral about everything that's negative. So with this, it's about being mindful, sticking to the one issue. Sometimes if the other person's not understanding it, being mindful, you might have to just kind of repeat yourself and just keep reinforcing the same message. And the being mindful, you also need to ignore attacks, because sometimes if it is a negative conversation, the other person might try to change the subject. They might try and bring up, oh, well, you did this and you did that. And it's about ignoring those attacks and just trying to keep focus on the one topic, which is really hard. It is really hard, but I think, you know, being aware that this is part of the skill, it can keep you like on track. The appear confident is, you know, using a confident voice, making good eye contact. I personally don't think I struggle with this too much, but it's about like when you're having a conversation, you know, not like whispering, not like fussing, doing other stuff while you're trying to do something. It's about being like, right, we're having this conversation. You know, you're not kind of I'm gonna just tidy up and I'm just gonna talk. Because the theory behind that is like if you look like you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe in the conversation, other people aren't going to take you seriously. And negotiate is the last part, and it's sometimes being willing to give to get, and sometimes it's being aware that you might have to give up part of your request, or you might have to solve the problem another way, and sometimes you might have to ask the other person for a solution. So for example, if I was like, oh, I want to go to the cinema on Saturday, that's what I want, that's what I really want. Using, I'm sorry because I'm not a negotiator, I just aren't. And it might, the being willing, to work around it. If I say to my partner, I really want to go on Saturday, if he then says, well, actually I'm at work on Saturday at that time, using this to negotiate, you could be like, okay then, when let's have a look at your work rota and let's see when we're both off and let's choose another day. So it's that being willing to give in a little bit. It's not going, but I want Saturday, which is what I do. And it's just literally learning to kind of negotiate. So that's as I say, it's not technically a script, but other people on my sessions, they've said, if they have had a hard topic of conversation they need to bring up with someone, they will bullet point the things, especially if they think they might have to negotiate. They might write out a script. They'll sort of jot down what they will negotiate on, what they won't negotiate on, and that way they've got something they can refer to, so when they are having the conversation they don't get flustered. And I've started to use this a little bit, and as I say, when I'm reading it out like this, it all sounds very obvious, but when I'm reading that, I don't have all the emotion of something going on. So it is really quite useful. And it doesn't always have to necessarily be in that order. I think it's just kind of written in that order as it's logical. But it is really useful, and especially like the expressing the feelings bit, and also kind of like the mindfulness, and the negotiating bit. Those are the parts that I found really useful, and it's helped me. Sort of in the past, like if I've tried to have a conversation, it then just uproars, ends into an argument that means we fall out for a couple of days. And kind of using this, it kind of means a conversation, even though it can still get a bit heated, the conversation might only be like half an hour, an hour now. So going from like a 3-day fallout to a bit of a discussion for an hour, just trying to incorporate some of these skills, you can see how they will be effective the more I use them and practice with them. And that is the part about the objectives of effectiveness, and in the next video I'll talk a bit more about the skills for the relationship effectiveness.